4 a.m., high in the death zone of Mount Everest, where the air is thin and every breath feels like drowning, a man in dark glasses tightened his grip on the rope. The wind screamed against the frozen ridge. The temperature plummeted to -40, and behind those glasses were eyes that had not seen light since he was 12 years old. Erik Weihenmayer was blind, and yet he was climbing the highest mountain on Earth. He moved by sound, by feel, by trust in the crunch of crampons on ice. A bell attached to the backpack of the climber ahead guided him like a beacon. Each step was a gamble. One misstep, one slip, and the mountain would swallow him whole. Below, avalanches thundered in the distance, erasing teams who had dared too late. Above, the summit glittered under the dawn sky, impossibly close, impossibly far. For most, blindness is the end of adventure. For Erik, it was the beginning. Born with retinoschisis, his vision slowly collapsed into darkness by his teenage years. He could have chosen safety. He could have chosen bitterness. Instead, he chose war against limitation. He learned to wrestle, to run marathons, to scale rock faces he couldn't see. His fingers became his eyes, reading the texture of stone, memorizing routes by touch. To him, cliffs were braille written in granite, but Everest was no cliff. It was a killer, a mountain where 1 in 4 who reached the summit would never come back down. Even the sighted lose themselves in its blizzards, vanish into crevasses, freeze on its ridges. To climb it blind was something beyond madness, beyond reason. It was a dare against nature itself. As the expedition began, whispers followed him through base camp. Some said he would never make it past the icefall. Others said he would slow the team down and get them killed. The Khumbu Icefall, a shifting labyrinth of towering seracs and collapsing blocks of ice, was deadly even to climbers with perfect vision. For Erik, every crossing of a ladder over a bottomless crevasse was an act of faith. He would balance carefully, crampon tips scratching metal rungs as the void waited beneath. Guides and teammates held their breath. Each time he emerged on the other side, calm, steady, relentless. Higher into Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, the air thinned to a cruel whisper. Nights were sleepless, haunted by the sound of avalanches tearing down unseen slopes. Frostbite chewed at fingers and toes. Erik listened to every shift in the wind, every tremor of snow, every warning from his teammates. He was climbing in darkness, yes, but he was also climbing with a kind of vision others had forgotten. Pure presence, pure focus, pure survival. At 26,000 feet, the human body begins to die. Judgment falters, muscles starve. The mountain begins to kill you just for being there. Erik pressed on step by step, guided only by a voice calling from ahead. Left foot here, right foot there. Hours stretched like lifetimes. The summit was a knife's edge away, but storms gathered without mercy. The decision came: turn back or risk everything. Many teams quit that night. Erik did not. On May 25th, 2001, after weeks of climbing, after years of preparation, after a lifetime of doubt, Erik stood at 29,035 feet, the roof of the world. The wind tore at his jacket, the clouds stretched below his feet, and the sun rose over the Himalayas in a blaze he could not see. He couldn't see the world beneath him, but he felt it. The vibrations of his teammates cheering, the weight of the flag in his hands, the crackle of the radio as the news spread. A blind man had conquered Everest. It was impossible, and yet it was real. The world watched in disbelief. Some called it foolish, others called it divine. But for Erik, it was neither. It was simply proof. Proof that blindness was not the end of sight. Proof that Everest, like fear, was only as powerful as the belief you gave it. And as he began the long, deadly descent, a descent where most accidents happen, a descent where even the strongest often never return, he knew one truth carved deeper than the mountain itself. He had turned the world's highest peak into a symbol, not of what he had lost, but of what he had dared to claim.